Hey everybody, welcome to Matt Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarian. Of course, I'm joined by Rich, right in the Putski, Stambolian.
The Ivan Putski. That's what we're saying. Nobody's ever made that call before, like right into Putski.
Like double axe handle off the top rope and bam, right into Ivan Putski. They
Amazing.
need to start doing that. I'm all into
I
it.
think so. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm
What's going
all
on with
into
you,
it.
man?
What show number is this for us right now? I think in a week. We did a show Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and now on Thursday. We've done a wide range of shows, crazy amount of shows over the last couple days and weeks, and I think we're going to continue doing this because there's really not much to do. So we're going to continue doing these shows. Obviously, WrestleMania's came and went, and we discussed that all on Tuesday. We had NXT and AEW, and of course, Dark Side of the Ring that was on the other day, which I do want to talk about the Brawl for All. We did a little bit on Tuesday's show, but it was really fascinating how they presented this. There were a lot of things that I liked, but there was also a lot that I didn't like about it. Obviously, it's a documentary, and a lot of the information is omitted because they got to fill a time frame and make it interesting. So I want to talk about that, but before we continue, I want to thank all our Super Chat users on YouTube. You guys have been unbelievable. You've been funding us right there, hitting that dollar button, funding us. Also, subscribe to the podcast. It's also a huge help when you guys do that. And we're also on Patreon if you want to continue supporting the show on a weekly or monthly basis. You can do that by going to patreon.com/MattMenPodcast and fund us as little as $1 per month to keep the show going. Where do you want to begin? I want to talk about, what did you think of AEW? Because I have to tell you, the overall presentation of that show, it's the most normal pro wrestling show right now, right?
Absolutely. I like how you go, where do you want to begin? And then say, let's talk about AEW.
Because you know what it was? I was going to start with AEW and then I forgot. So I wanted to ask him and then I remembered.
AEW was awesome. It's the best wrestling on TV right now. The presentation is better. I think WWE is getting the icky a little bit, saying like, well, if these guys are doing stuff like this, we can do stuff like this, and then kind of flip flop a little bit. And at this point, I don't even think it's about the ratings, right? It's just like pure entertainment. And for those 2 hours last night during AEW, I was completely entertained. I had a ball just watching it. It went by super quick.
Yeah, I think that was the thing about that, right? They have the ability to put on a show in a empty building and make it feel like there's people there with having the guys around
there.
I mean, there are people there, but I mean, I don't feel like I'm watching an empty building when I watch that show. That's the positive here. I don't feel like it's an empty building. I don't feel like it's a half-ass show, even though I'm sure they're pulling back on a lot of the stuff. They pulled back on that blood and guts match, and I'm sure they're trying to extend this as much as they can just to keep, keep the product fresh and keep the show going. So watching AEW feels like a whole different universe when you're watching a WWE product. With that said, NXT last night was great.
Yeah, NXT was really good. You had a lot of good moments in there, and that Gargano Ciampa main event was awesome. You had a little bit of Killer Cross thrown in there. Io Shirai winning that briefcase was cool. You had the debut, well, not the debut of that new tag team, but like I think they got a name yesterday.
What was the name? I missed it because I was watching on mute.
It's just their names.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like I don't want to say the names wrong, but I think it's they're pronounced like Singh and like Rinku and Saurav.
Okay. I missed
like
that
just
part because
like their
I was
first names, yeah.
So the thing about AEW, so with AEW, I thought the show was really good. The Cody match was good. It felt like an actual show. The guys around the ring, huge help. It elevates it, and Jericho on commentary was tremendous. He was really good. I think he was better than who was it last week? Was it Cody last week? Who was last week on commentary?
It was Cody and Colt.
Okay, did not care for that.
Really?
I didn't really like Cody. He's very calm on commentary.
See, I like that. I like that. Cody does like a very calm, a lot of in jokes, a lot of kind of he drops a lot of fun nerd stuff in there, like stuff about Star Trek, video games, all
Yeah.
that stuff like that. Cabana, on the other hand, Cabana is more like a classic broadcaster style, I guess.
Yeah.
Like he has like the big broadcaster voice, and look at that, you know what I mean? Jericho was fantastic, and I think it's due in the part that he knows Tony Schiavone, and they've known each other for so many years, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's fine. I just preferred I preferred the the energy with Jericho a little bit more.
Okay.
I really I thought it was better as far as the energy went. But regardless, really good show. NXT solid show. Charlotte
Mhm.
cut a hell of a promo on NXT talking about, it's not the title that makes the man, it's the person holding that title, which is something, very inside terms about world championships. She did a great job with that. By the way, Green Lives Matter, $2. Love you, my sweeties, he says
Thanks,
on
bud.
YouTube. So I they're on something, and I feel bad for NXT because I think this might have been the moment. Having Charlotte there would have helped them a little bit in the ratings. Continuing these
Mhm.
programs and extending these programs and having their TV, I think they would have kind of shortened the gap between AEW and NXT as far as the ratings go. But right
Mhm.
now, who knows, right? Who the hell
Right.
knows?
Yeah.
Because it's a total disaster. AEW is filmed till mid-May, I believe.
Mhm.
NXT, they're filming from the 10th to the 16th for
Okay.
NXT, SmackDown, and Raw. So starting tomorrow, they're gonna film a whole 6 days worth of TV tapings till I have no idea when that's gonna go till. Do we know how
Right.
long that's? Oh no, that's gonna leave you. They're filming to Money in the Bank, and Money in the Bank is gonna be live according to them
Live with no audience.
with no audience. Money in the Bank is going to be a
Okay.
live pay-per-view with no audience.
I got a
So,
question for you.
yes, sir.
How did you like the tag match with Kenny and Nakazawa?
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Front page
Mhm.
tech, $4.99. This is for Rich. Andrew, no touch. I'm going to I will not touch it. It's all for you. What are you going to do with that $4.99, Rich?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
In YouTube, we just got a $4.99 donation.
That did not pop up on my feed, but thank you. What am I gonna do with that $4.99? I'll
Yeah,
buy.
what are you
I'll
going to
buy. I'll buy 3/4 of a beer.
You want to buy some beer? Good. You know what? Go
Hmm.
get a 24. Why don't you go buy a 24?
Why don't you go get a 20? Why don't you send Deegan to get a 24?
I'm going to actually. I sent them yesterday.
Uh,
Budweiser 24. $4.99. Thank you, Front Page Tech.
how'd you like that Kenny Nakazawa match?
I thought it was okay.
Hmm.
What did you think? Did you love it? I thought it was fine.
I thought it was interestingly divisive online because it was done very uh, Japanese humor style.
What didn't people like? I was curious. I because I wasn't following social media last night.
You had two nuts in face spots. You
Okay.
had Nagasawa taking his like outer underwear off and doing
Yeah.
like a Santino snake. It was called like the Super Venom snake, and then Nakazawa doing like the oil chest thing.
Yeah.
Um, which I think it's all that's hysterical, and I like that Kenny can go between like kind of like a goofy match to like a super like barn burner, you know?
Do you think here's a question for you, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
never saw Kenny Omega, right? I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about you.
Me.
Uh if you never saw Kenny Omega, you didn't really follow the Japanese stuff. You only heard about it. You
Mm-hmm.
only saw the clips online. And you turn on
Mm-hmm.
AEW and this is the Kenny Omega that you get. Do you think it takes him down a couple notches in your head?
No, just because like I'm smart enough to do my research. That's me
But let's say no,
specifically.
but you didn't do the research, right? Let's say you're not doing it. Let's say you just
Sight and I haven't been into wrestling for a while, and somebody was like, "You got to check this Kenny Omega guy out."
yep, yep.
I'd enjoy it because clearly the dude's awesome in the ring, and also Jericho really did a good job of putting him very over on commentary.
Yeah, which was
So
interesting, right?
Yeah, Jericho put everybody over yesterday in a very good heel way, but it seemed like he really loves watching Kenny wrestle, and why not, right?
So actually, Front Page Tech, John Prosser from Front Page Tech writes,
Mm.
this guy's got my gimmick now into tech, into pro wrestling. It's amazing. He's running the Zarian gimmick. He writes, I 100% agree. I thought Kenny Omega was this mythical figure until I saw him. See, but again, not a knock at Kenny Omega. I just think that the paranoia, I guess, of being considered this guy that's only going to put himself over, and the lack of
Mm.
ego that he has kind of been a detriment. And I know that the plan going forward was not to do that with Kenny this year. The plan was that they're going to build him as this major superstar to take that title.
Like serious Kenny.
It's like a serious Kenny.
The chats aren't popping up on the side, by the
It's
way.
not. Why don't you restart the YouTube?
I did twice, and I think
You
other
did?
people are saying the same thing. Yeah.
You,
Um,
maybe they're having a problem.
serious Serious Kenny is it clearly that was the build for this year, right? Like having that tag team with Paige and the blow off would have been their match against each other, right?
Say that again. You broke up.
So like Serious Kenny would have been like the trajectory, which would have led probably to the blow like a breakup with Paige, and
Yeah.
then like a more of a singles run, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The blow off with Paige, that was supposed to happen earlier, but the problem with that is that Paige got so over as a babyface,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not what they were
Right.
doing. They were trying to make him this. He failed at the world title. He blamed the
Mm-hmm.
elite. It's about the elite, and then it
He's
turned
got a
out that the
drinking
elite
problem.
he has a drinking problem. But it turned out that the elite turned out to be the heels in this somewhat, right? They were kind of being a dick to him.
Right. I do think we're gonna get that turn at some point within the next year where like somebody turns on Hangman, the elite turns. I do think Cody's headed for a heel turn at the end of the year.
Cody
You
is.
know? Yeah. And I wanna say Matt and Nick also. And then you're gonna because they could the cool thing about the two factions, the elite and the inner circle, is that you can definitely have fun turning these guys every so often. Like the inner circle would be dynamite as faces, right? The elite would be dynamite as heels.
Yeah.
It's a good like back and forth between them. Who doesn't want to cheer for Sammy Guevara? Who doesn't want to cheer for Proud and Powerful, right? Or
You,
Jericho?
you know, you hit the nail on the head with this. Um, if you really look at it, like on Tuesday, we were talking about how the Raw roster is really lacking main event heels.
Right.
Heels that you really want to get behind and boo. AEW has a tremendous amount of heels. Everybody's a heel.
Absolutely.
You
Right.
have Brody Lee. You
Mm.
have obviously all of the inner circle. You have all
Right.
the Dark Order. Sean
Sean
Spears.
Lance
Um,
Archer.
Lance Archer. You have a
Um,
tremendous amount of
yeah.
them, and they're
MJF.
all MJF, yeah. So if you look at the top-notch heels that they have, but they also have a babyface to counter those guys. You got all the elite
Right.
guys. You got Hangman. You got Kenny. You got the Bucks. You have Cody. You have Dustin,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a good amount of babyfaces to kind of go with the Luchasaurus and that crew. They have a very good amount of balance. Where on the WWE side, that balance sways.
Right. And also there's a lot of tweeners, I think, more on the WWE side. Do you think they consciously were like, all right, we're splitting the roster 50-50. Half these dudes are heels, half these guys are faces, and that's it. Classic wrestling.
For AEW?
Yeah.
I think that was a tremendous conscious effort to create heels and baby faces, but also have the blurred line. Like Jericho is a heel, but you like watching him.
He's just super entertaining, right?
Super entertaining, yeah. You
But
like
then,
watching him in all of them.
Absolutely. And in classic, he's very, very reminiscent of that Ric Flair type heel, right? Where
Yeah.
it's, hey, everybody look at me, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. And then he gets what's coming to him, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I it's amazing. Jericho's transcending into the character that he is.
Hmm.
Uh, Unbelievable to me that this guy has reinvented himself so many times, and it
Hmm.
still works. He still works in the role that he's in.
Who'd have thought too? Because like over 20 years ago, when you're watching this guy do the Master of 1,001 holds, against like Dean Malenko, that this is where we are now in
Yeah,
2020,
one of the
where
greatest of all
he's
time.
doing redoing commentary with Tony Schiavone and just putting himself over, putting over the wrestlers, but also being like the ultimate heel in the business. I'm also looking forward to his weirdo whack job Matt Hardy feud. Um,
Yes, it is a
and
really
I
weirdo Matt Hardy feud. Uh,
and I do love how Vanguard One talks. Where like, oh, of course, you have droids in wrestling now.
you know when I realized I want to talk about that Hardy match, but you know when Jericho really solidified himself, it's like, wow, this guy is really good at reinventing himself. When he did that Nick Bockwinkel gimmick, when he had the world
Yes,
title, do you remember when he would come out and he was smug and he would do that whole thing? That was the moment that really I think a lot of people said like, oh wow, this guy has depth. You
underwear
know,
guy.
he's a nut. Yeah, when he did the underwear Nick Bockwinkel gimmick and he would dress in a suit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that weirdo Hardy match. What do you think of Matt Hardy so far?
Yeah, I'm loving it, man. Like that dude at this point, because they're not exposing him every week, like very hardcore. He could do no wrong. Like he needs like 10 minutes a week, 5 minutes a week. That's great.
So
Also, really quick, when Jericho was doing that Botwinkle thing, was Jack Swagger his heavy?
I don't. Was he?
I
I
want to
don't
say
remember.
yeah. Something just like popped into my head where I think it was like Jack Swagger. I feel like it was Jack Swagger that was his heavy, that he'd come to the ring with him. So that's kind of come full
Um,
circle.
I don't I don't know. You just said it, and now it's in my head, and I don't know if it's in my head because you
Right.
just said it. Someone I'm sure could verify that in the chat.
I'm gonna
Uh,
try to look that up as we go on.
yeah, I'm. It's possible. So, they're gonna be doing a match. Big Show was his partner during
Okay.
that gimmick. Yeah, it was Big Show that was maybe he was part of. Elite versus Inner Circle in a Hardy compound match. That's gonna be taking place. So that should be interesting since Matt is probably gonna want to prove himself. Uh,
Right.
Considering they used his idea. They took the broken universe idea and they turned
Hmm.
it into I keep calling it the Funko Pop match. I don't know why. The Firefly
They
Funhouse.
should have a fun. They should have a fun go pop match.
I think they should.
Mm.
Since they did it with the Firefly Funhouse and of course they did it with
Mm.
the Boneyard match. Uh
Boneyard.
I You son of a bitch. Uh I I think it'll be a great match. I think they'll be able to produce it well. These guys are smart enough, and you can see with a lot of the Dark Order stuff that they do with
Hmm.
Brody Lee. It's been interesting how they're shooting that and how they're filming. So I expect that similar style. That's going to be bonkers. Really, that
Yeah.
match should probably be really bonkers because imagine the elements of comedy that they're going to put in
Right.
this. They're going to have all
Oh,
these
forget it.
guys in a freaking barnyard. You're going to have, Santana and Ortiz in the compound, which I'm going to find hysterical. I wonder if Rebby's going to
Oh
make
my
an
god.
appearance. You know?
Oh
I
my
wonder
god.
if
It's
Rebby
gonna
will show
be
up with the piano and the kids.
Senior Benjamin.
Senior Benjamin. Yeah.
It's gonna be awesome. We got a quick question from Transferring Heat here.
Yeah.
Do you guys think AEW doing the Matt Hardy, Kenny Omega comedy stuff is going away from their sports-based style that Tony Khan said it would be presented as? No, I think wrestling. You can fit a lot of stuff into wrestling, and it's still fine.
Yeah, I think I'm the comedy stuff doesn't bother me. It bothers me when it overtakes everything, right? And I'll give you an example.
Shoot,
In
I
a
think I know what you're gonna
WWE
say
feud,
too.
right? There's
Hmm.
always a comedy element in every angle. Almost every angle. Somebody will
Right.
make a joke out of a scenario. Somebody will
Hmm.
make a joke about somebody's appearances. It's never, even when you have a consistent character that's a tough guy, they'll make a joke.
Hmm.
Great example. Paul Heyman comes out there and cuts a promo and he makes jokes during his promo.
Right, right.
I think everybody makes jokes. There is really no one character that's not that character. Even Drew did that a couple weeks ago on Raw. He
Right,
made a
yeah.
joke. So it's just the style of writing. I think for AEW, if you have those elements in certain moments, it works,
Mhm.
right? Because Jericho is
Absolutely.
comedy. Jericho's a comedy character at this point.
Great, right. But he again, I think the point is when it's up to the guys who are talented, it works extremely well, right?
Because they're coming up with it themselves.
They're coming up with them themselves. They'll feel it. They'll be like, this is at the end of the day, this is entertainment.
Yeah.
Like Jericho can do stuff off the top of his head and it comes out funny. The vignettes with him chasing down Vanguard 1 and then Vanguard 1 showing up the next week saying that Jericho's a dumpster fire. That stuff is
Yeah.
great. But I think to further your point, on the other end of the spectrum, you have stuff on WWE TV that's like pouring what was it, dog shit all over Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
And it's like
Dog food.
it's
I kind of I wanted it to be dog shit.
it's all dog shit, and like somebody was eating dog shit, right? So like you have stuff like that that's funny that's like very juvenile humor, where you're like, all right, listen, like you do that in front of a live audience, it'll gross, ha ha ha. But
Yeah.
for like weird older guys like us, that doesn't cut it, right?
Yeah. But you got to think about. Listen, uh, Ultimate Warrior was throwing up because Papa Shango put a voodoo curse on him, and I freaking loved it when I was a kid.
But do you consider that comedy?
No, but I'm saying like in a weird non-wrestling moment. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But pouring the dog food on somebody, that's as wrestling as you could possibly get. That's a big Memphis angle. That's a big mid-south
Yeah.
thing. So it is a wrestling thing. It's just the way that it's delivered. Like you said, if the guys are delivering it the right way, then it's gonna work. If they're not, and some guy's writing it for everybody, it's not gonna work. I mean, that's the reality of
Right.
it. But you want to talk about the serious side of it? Look at that Gargano Ciampa feud, right?
Very serious.
Very serious. Always was serious. No little to no jokes.
No dog
These
shit.
guys took it very serious. This match was very serious. I really enjoyed the match. I thought it was done very well. It was shot as if it was a film instead of a wrestling match, and that added a whole different element to it. Also, in the car outside, like you mentioned, you got Killer Cross and
Scarlett Bordeaux.
Scarlett Bordeaux in the car watching Gargano get into his car. So they're building that up.
Why are they stalking Gargano?
Why are they stalking? Maybe they're like peeping toms. Maybe that's
You think they're swingers?
Maybe that's what it is. They just want to peep.
They're coming out as swingers?
Yeah. Are they gonna call him Killer Cross?
Cross the Killer.
Like Ghostface Killer. So we'll see what happens.
Heat has a lot of questions here.
Okay, you want to do questions? You want to go right into questions?
Let's do questions because, like,
Yeah.
I feel like I want to say what Transferring Heat wants is just New Japan all the time.
Okay.
Because he's asking, is NXT the alternative then, not AEW? I don't think. Well, the alternative is whatever you like, right? Like it could be Ring of Honor, it could be Lucha, it could be reruns of Wrestling Society X. That's a name drop right there.
That's all I watch, by the way.
I
just watch weirdo X-Pac and Vampiro matches.
Oh hell yeah! I'd want to see that match on TV.
Yeah. Let's do questions.
Okay. Can we before questions? The one thing I wanted to mention. So we're gonna get that Walter Finn Balor feud now.
We are. How are they doing it?
Well, via video this week, Finn Balor called him out, right?
Yeah. So when are they hoping? When are they hoping?
Survivor Series. Right.
I don't know when they would possibly do that, right? They're both, one's in Germany right now, and the other one is in the US, and we're not flying. So the hope would be probably for SummerSlam weekend.
The hope would be for that, but there's probably like a visa issue, right?
It's a travel ban issue more than anything else.
Right.
That's a little bit of the issue here. So they're sticking with that feud. I just don't know how they're going to do this unless they have a way to get the guy out of the country and bring him into NXT and then send them back.
Maybe they both go to Canada,
Nobody can fly anywhere. I
or
don't know.
they do it. They do it virtually. They do it on 2K20.
I would love that. 2K20. That's perfect.
It's straight esports style. All right, you want
Yeah.
to do questions?
Let's do it.
All right. Do you think they will do a mixed tag with Scarlett and Cross versus Gargano and Candice like they did with Andrade and Zelina?
Yes, I think that's the next feud for both of them. I think they're gonna have individual matches and tag matches. I think it's a good way to debut Killer Cross in a
Absolutely.
feuding with somebody that's up there, that says that it's not gonna be a slow build on the roster if that's what they're intending on doing. I think it's a good profile, and they really they need big stars on the top. They really do need that. So it's
Absolutely.
just another great name for them.
Even Triple H was saying that this guy's special, and he's got a lot to give to the company, which is cool. And it's interesting that he signed with NXT as opposed to like going to Japan or Ring of Honor or even AEW.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got here. What was your favorite WCW angle and character?
Ooh, that's a great one. Lodi for sure, favorite character.
Really?
Loved Lodi.
Uh,
No, I would say it had to have been the NWO angle, right? That would have been my
right.
favorite storyline. Dude, I fucking loved Hollywood Hogan, man. I loved it. I thought I really enjoyed the whole NWO thing. DDP's, the last couple years, he was unbelievable.
That's mine. All the DDP,
DDP
stuff. He was my
I mean,
guy.
if we're going with that stuff, but you know what was great? And I started watching it again. A lot of like the Vader stuff, Flair and Vader. A lot of that weird WCW 1993 with Rick Rude as the international champion.
Ooh, yeah.
There was a lot of those that kind of went under the radar. A lot of the Lucha stuff, obviously, for the Nitro era. I don't have one angle that I loved. I would say that the early NWO stuff was interesting because you didn't know who was next, and you would just tune in to see who's going to turn next.
Right. Before it got all goopy with like NWO Red and NWO.
Yeah. What did
Red,
you? What was yours?
I would say NWO also, and I would think like as a character, like DDP was my dude. Like I love DDP because he was the one anti NWO guy, right?
He was the one that never did it. Also, you know what was big? I'm gonna tell you, people keep forgetting how big it was for ratings. The Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior showing up in '98.
Oh yeah.
That was a really like. I don't think a lot of people remember how big of a deal that was that he went to WCW and him and Hogan were gonna have a match. I'm not talking about the actual match. I'm not talking about the promo. I'm saying about him showing up there, and you're like, holy shit, Ultimate Warrior is back in wrestling. And he's in WCW. It was bizarre.
Right.
It was really weird.
Bizarre. I remember that happened when we were in high school. Or I was in high school, and I remember just being like, "That is very strange."
Scott Steiner attempting to have sex with everybody around him and threatening you.
Boo-boo daddy.
Big Daddy. What is it? Boo Boo Daddy?
It was Big Fat Boo Boo Daddy. Let's see. What are your thoughts of Vince Russo after the Brawl for All episode? I have no thoughts on Vince Russo personally.
People think that people get upset when we say that, by the way. People get very upset when we don't state that we don't like him. I don't know the guy.
Right.
I know a lot of people that do like him personally. I think it's interesting how you villainize someone based on their opinion of what something should be and them having a job, right? Like, I'm not going into his personal beliefs, his political beliefs. That's not in the equation. I'm talking about him having a job and booking and coming up with ideas. A lot of the blame, if you watch that Brawl for All episode of Dark Side of the Ring, it turned into like a bizarro Jim Cornette hates Vince Russo thing.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like, it really turned into that. And what's hysterical is that those two people are exactly the same.
They're
identical on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're exactly the same.
Right.
So
I agree with that 100%.
So Russo had ideas where he wanted to modernize and make wrestling more into a television show, and
Mm-hmm.
Cornette had ideas to be a wrestling show, a pure wrestling show. I don't think either
Mm-hmm.
idea was right, but you at least had Vince that could sit back and say, you know what, I kind of like this element and I like this element, so we'll combine it, and was able to manufacture what we saw on TV. But the blame
Right,
for the
like
Brawl for All should not be on Vince Russo.
exactly.
He's not the final decision maker. There's only one person that decided that this is a good idea, and that's
Right.
Vince.
It just seemed so weird that was like the one takeaway from that episode was like everybody for the most part was blaming Vince Russo, and they're blaming the wrong Vince, saying like they could have easily just been like, we should stop this, man. Like these dudes, and as soon as somebody got hurt, listen, we should stop this instead of punishing Bart Gunn, right?
Listen, I have what I do, my other job. I get ideas. I'm a marketer. I get ideas pitched to me every day. Some are great, some are okay, and some are terrible. If I decide to go with the terrible idea, that's on me. It's not on who pitched it, because their job is to pitch stuff to me to see if this works, if it clicks for me. That's how it works. So to blame Vince Russo on this, somebody made that final call, and it wasn't Vince Russo, and it wasn't Jim Cornette. So,
Right.
the heavy blame on Russo, I found that to be silly. I wouldn't heavily blame him. He has wacky ideas, and that's why he had a job, and that's unfortunately for a lot of people, that's why they watched wrestling for a long time, because of those
absolutely.
ideas. I definitely think Vince Russo played a major positive role in professional wrestling by changing the mindset of what the TV show should be like. Crash TV worked
100%.
in its era. In its era, I'm talking about when it worked. It worked.
Right.
Now looking back
100%.
at it 20 years later, you and I both have watched these old Raws that we thought were great, and you're like, holy crap, this is really bad. It's just the evolution of things.
I agree with you 100%. There was a report that came out that I think yesterday afternoon, after the Brawl for All Dark Side of the Ring episode came out, that Vince had the idea to redo it for that first season of NXT, where it was the reality-based show.
And make it into a shoot.
And make it into a shoot where, remember when you had like Daniel Bryan paired with The Miz and like all that? Again, terrible idea.
Such
like
a bad idea.
You shouldn't have dudes who are fighters, who aren't legitimate fighters, fighting each other. If you took people who had MMA backgrounds and put them in a ring, that's one thing. But that's also like pancrase, and it's been done before, right?
Listen, you take guys that are workers and you put them in a shoot. It does not work well. It's not going to work well. And the two smartest people were really Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock. Those were the two smartest people, where they said, absolutely not. I'm not going to risk getting injured. And the fact is, those guys would have killed everybody. I think Ken Shamrock
would have murdered everybody.
Oh my God, murdered everybody. The Bart Gunn thing is interesting because Bart had a really good swing. He had a heavy hand, and that's what got him through. But the fact that, like, they told the story about how Bart and Bob Holly were very good friends at the time, and they were in the first round, and they had to go out there and beat the shit out of each other, and then they had to get into a car and drive to the hotel. Bizarre, man. Bizarre. And I know why these guys did it. They were grasping for straws to survive and get to the top. I don't think anybody would want to do this now.
Exactly.
And the interesting thing is, he even said, I think it was in the documentary, but Bart Gunn said, like, listen, he went to Pritchard and said, listen, I'll lose to Dr. Death, because that was the plan for Dr. Death to feud with Steve Austin. I'll lose to him. Don't worry about it. And they were so confident that Dr. Death Steve Williams is going to knock him out. They just they said no, go fight him.
They kind of laughed at him.
They kind of laughed at him, and the problem was Dr. Death. Dr. Death probably would have won that fight, but he tore his hamstring.
Right.
And then he got his ass knocked out. So
exactly, and that dude's career's over.
Well, they said that, right? They said his career was over, but people forgot he went to WCW after that. And he went to Japan. And he went to Japan for a couple of years after that. So
he was NWO. Dr. NWO.
Dr. NWO? Yeah. So I enjoyed. Listen, I like those Dark Side of the Rings. Some of them I like way better than other ones. Next week is Jimmy Snuka.
Another
That's gonna
murder.
be a nice gauge to see how good it is, how great they tell
Yeah.
that story, because that story is very complicated. And it
Oh
has
yeah.
tons of conspiracies to that story,
A
with
million
Fuji and
conspiracies.
Don Morocco cleaning up the scene, Vince coming with a briefcase of
Suitcase.
money,
Yeah.
the major cover up from the Pittsburgh PD or whatever the town they were in Pennsylvania. There's a tremendous story there. I'm
Oh,
curious
forget
how
it.
they tell it. Do you think they're gonna go down that conspiracy rabbit hole?
Absolutely. I think with that 45-minute format that they have, they can definitely get a lot in, and especially from like the old timers that were there during this whole time, because like you don't know what's true or not, and there's always like so much weird wrestling lore, especially in the days before like cell phones and everything was being taped, where the one thing that always stuck out in my mind was, like you said, Vince showing up with a ton of money, giving it to the cops and saying forget about this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
This
So
dude could be a murderer. Speaking of murder, if they did
yeah,
a brawl for all now, I think Kota Ibushi would win everything.
in in New Japan,
In pro wrestling, if you just had like
you think
dudes
it'd
in
be
pro
Kota
wrestling
Ibushi?
fight each other, I think it would be
Right.
Kota Ibushi.
Okay, here's one in WWE. If they did a
Mm-hmm.
brawl for all, who would win?
I would go with Braun Strowman, just because that dude, like, he seems like he's unhittable if he stood up straight, right?
It would have to be
Who's
Matt
a
Riddle or Brock Lesnar, right? No,
Yeah,
I
but
think
again,
Brock
you
would
don't
just
know,
sit on
man.
you.
Like,
One punch.
is does he have that conditioning though? That's the thing. He's got pro wrestling conditioning. I would go Riddle, Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, and WWE top three.
Uh, Possible. Yeah, I think that's a good top three.
You know,
I
like
think
big
Lesnar.
thick
I think
dudes.
Lesnar would take it for sure. Let's
Okay.
see. What else do we have? What other questions?
Let's. We got a ton too. Does Enchante have a signature taunt?
Yes, it's he does he pulls his like fanny, like the tights, and he pulls it up so you see the butt cheeks a little bit.
Oh, I thought you meant like the moose knuckle.
No, no, no. He pulls it like in the back
He
so you can
pulls the
see his
front.
butt. No, you can see his butt.
Anthony says, "Am I crazy to think the title being put on Charlotte is setting up Tessa to NXT facing her?"
I have not heard anything about Tessa Blanchard going to WWE.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard
Uh,
zero.
who do you think Braun Strowman's first feud after beating Goldberg is?
Who do you think Braun Strowman's first year? I think it's going to be
Roman, right?
well, it depends if Roman's coming back, you know?
Okay, he's gone. He's done.
No, I mean until this thing blows over. It depends, but I would anticipate it to be Roman, and then you go into Roman and somebody else. Maybe
All
Corbin.
right. How
Oh my
about?
God! Imagine if it's Baron Corbin.
Oof. That's a good. You
Yikes!
know what? What about Drew McIntyre?
What about him? Oh,
What for? Yeah,
who's his
for a
opponent?
feud. Yeah, yeah.
They said Tyson Fury, but he said that people are going to get a title shot before that. That was the big question on Monday, right? On Tuesday for us. Who do they have to feud with him? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who they
Uh,
have for him.
Derek asks, "Why won't Matt Riddle answer my letters sprayed with Axe body spray?"
Maybe you're sending it to the wrong address because I'd open those letters.
Ooh, is that Axe body spray?
Ooh, is
Uh,
that pine?
Solus asks, "Do you guys like to dive into wrestling conspiracies? If so, we just talked about this. If so, what's your favorite one? Mine's the screw job, possibly being a work."
That's your favorite one? I would that's one of my
That's what he
favorites as
says.
well.
That's what he says.
Yeah,
I think the screw job. Go ahead.
no. I think the screw job is the screw job is my favorite because it's harmless in a way. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not accusing anybody of murdering like Kevin Sullivan. You know?
Right. Exactly.
I'm okay with that. There's a bunch of these that I kind of like. The screw job is one. You know, did you know actually here's one. Here's a big one. The purchase of WCW.
Yes,
The
that's a good
conspiracy
one.
behind that. there's a major conspiracy saying that there was an inside effort to devalue WCW to the point at the point of sale, so Vince could buy the assets.
Right.
If you read the book Nitro by Guy Evans, it's a very good book that gives you a very unique look on the insight of the corporate end and why WCW failed and how it happened. It's one of the more accurate stories and more accurate depictions of what happened, because he actually went and interviewed all these people.
Okay, that's very fascinating.
I think that's probably my favorite conspiracy now, is that there possibly could have been an effort by WWE and others within the Turner Network to have the assets go to WWE.
That's fascinating. I think that's a really good one. Like you said, the Montreal Screwjob. I always like the which was kind of like put to rest within the last year. I think, like, who was really approached to be the third man besides Hogan?
Sting, right?
It was Sting, yeah.
Yeah.
But that was like, that just came out like within the last year, right? Like there was like a big thing about it.
Yeah, it was a couple of years. I know that the Sting thing was a rumor, but I think Eric Bischoff doing the podcast was really made a really opened that up. You know, you got to hear all these stories from him.
Are they taping the Superstar Shakeup?
I don't know when they're doing it. When are they doing it? Are they planning on doing it? I don't know.
I don't know. Again, they need to find like an empty arena somewhere in the Midwest.
They're going to be able to do it from Full Sail, from the Performance Center. I just don't know what they're filming and when they're doing it. What else do we have here?
Let's see. What would wrestling be like if WCW beat WWE and bought them instead?
That's a great question. I get that all the time, right? Like I see that, and we've been asked that multiple times. I think it would have been I don't know. That's a very unique question. If WCW was successful, who was running it? Bischoff? I think they would have they would have botched an invasion angle like WWE did. I think Vince would have showed up on WCW TV. I don't even, I'm going to tell you, I don't even think that that's even a remote possibility.
Exactly.
It was such a zero possibility, even when WWE was in terrible shape.
Right. I don't think Vince, I think Vince, if it came down to it, Vince would have completely removed himself. Right? Like he wouldn't show up on he wouldn't show up on Nitro.
You think he would, what do they call it when a samurai kills himself?
Seppuku?
Harry Carey? Harry Carey.
You think he'd blow his brain skis out?
I think he would have taken a big sword and just dagged it right into his stomach. Just bled out.
This hurts.
Just bled out on TV.
But I think that would have just been like completely riotous and oddball and weird, because at the end of that whole era, what'd you have, like the NWO 2000?
At the end of WCW, NWO 2000 was NWO 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You would have had something like the Federation has showed up. They would call it the Federation or something, you know.
And who would it be?
If WWE guys went over, it would be the Undertaker. It would be I think it would be the Undertaker. It would be Kane. It would be Bradshaw and Farouk.
So the Ministry, basically.
The Ministry, basically. And then you would have probably like X-Pac going back. Hunter definitely going there. Michaels. China, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, maybe Cactus. You would have had a bizarre mix of people.
When you look at that roster, it was impossible for WWE not to win, right?
Yeah. Impossible. It was impossible.
Completely impossible. Do you think Mandy is going to swerve and align herself with the Hacker?
Who's the Hacker?
Supposedly it's Mustafa Ali, right?
Supposedly. I don't know. Do you think that works?
Not really. I mean, I want to see Otis and Mandy at least be an on-screen couple for like 2 months.
What does that do for his character, though? What does that do for Mustafa Ali, that he's a hacker?
Nothing. It does, like, absolutely...
Like, okay, so you were a cop, right? That was your at first.
Mhm.
They mentioned that you were a police officer, and now you're a wrestler.
Mhm.
Your gimmick said that you're a good boy,
Right.
and you could hop around, and now you're a
Mhm.
hacker. So how come this wasn't discussed for all these years? That you have this unbelievable ability to manipulate cameras.
Mhm.
You know,
It makes zero sense, but why not? I guess if you need to
I
freshen
guess.
the guy up, because he comes out with like, maybe in the back they saw him come out with like all this Sub-Zero gear, and they were like, "You look like you do well with computers, bro." And then that
What
was
is he,
it.
a
He's like,
hacker?
I don't even think Vince McMahon knows what a hacker is.
What is he? He's a computer virus. That's what he called it.
He thinks a hacker is when somebody just coughs really hard. That guy's a real hacker, huh?
If you guys
All right.
submitted a question that we missed, submit it again so we don't have to keep scrolling like a lunatic.
Yeah, everybody's jumping in on this. Is great. I love
Yeah, I
it.
love it. Mustafa
Uh,
Ali for Watchdog 3. Head,
let's see. Had Go ahead.
go ahead. Head Omega joined the WWE a few years ago. What would he be doing right now? I think he would have been in a major title position.
Yeah, or
If
he would be eating dog shit, like Barry Corbin.
Like Baron Corbin. Dog food, Rich. Dog food. No, I think I don't think they would have botched Kenny Omega as far as a character. If AJ Styles was an example of what they could have done with him, I think he would have had a very good run. I think Kenny coming in and feuding with AJ and winning the title and feuding with Nakamura, he would have been put in a top role position. Maybe not a popular opinion, but I think he would have had a more successful run when you look at the AEW trajectory and the WWE trajectory as far as an on-screen character. I think he would have had a better positioning early on with WWE.
Do you think he would have been miserable though?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, interesting.
I think he would have said in his interviews this was his goal from day one, and he's so happy to be part of the WWE universe and the family there.
he played ball.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Big Show could win an Emmy for his acting chops on his show? That show's terrible, my brother.
Oh, it's so bad.
Have you watched the Big Show show?
I saw like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and yikes.
It's a big yikes. And you know what? People are messaging me and DMing me saying like, "Dude, you got to check it out. It's so great." It's not. It's not great. There's zero chemistry on that show. The only charismatic part about that show is that Urkel is his best friend. Not
Yes.
Urkel, but like the guy who Jaleel White.
Yeah. I would love Urkel to be his best friend, like an older Urkel.
Oh, it'd be amazing, like 45-year-old Urkel.
Yeah. That's what I want. Not Jameel White.
The Urkman.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you think we'll see a triple threat 3MB match? Yeah, maybe. Maybe Heath is the ref.
I'm telling you,
between Jinder and
maybe.
Drew.
I think Jinder would be a great first opponent for Drew. Great first opponent.
Absolutely.
Both world champions. They were friends. You could do the backstage where he's congratulating Drew. Drew's in like in a tag match, and here he comes and attacks him.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Do you think Cody would ever go back to WWE?
Never say never, man. I think so.
Yeah.
I think everybody would go back everywhere. It's no matter how much someone says they won't do it, they will always do it. I don't think there's been anybody in this business that has said F this company and that has not gone back. Look at Ultimate Warrior.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Oh my God. Even Punk, in his own weird way, being on WWE backstage.
Even CM Punk. Everybody goes back. Everybody. Do you think the story with Cross and Scarlett being groomed to take Johnny and Candace's spot? I maybe. No, not to take the spot, but to feud with them for sure.
Definitely. I think they're definitely going to feud with them.
What's been your favorite episode? What's been your favorite episode of Dark Side of the Ring, Rich?
I really honestly, like the first one, the Bruiser Brody episode was probably my favorite one.
The Brody one was great.
Yeah.
I really like the Benoit one, obviously, like everybody else. But I would say that the Von Erichs episode was really good. That was a really good one. The Montreal one was whatever. It's Montreal. You've heard the story 5,000 times.
Right. And my favorite part of that one is Scott Hall going, "It's the biggest work in the business, Chico."
Is that what he said?
Pretty much. I'm paraphrasing.
Did he eat his toothpick?
He ate his toothpick.
How much? I'm gonna tell you because I assume that he like bites down on that toothpick. How much
Mhm.
wood shavings has that man swallowed? Maybe that's been the problem this whole time.
Oh, right? Like, no, it's really not the alcohol or drugs. It's just like he's full of wood shavings.
This guy's been eating wood shavings since 1990.
Any stories you want to see on Dark Side of the Ring?
Oh, that's a good one.
Hmm. That is
You
a
know
good
what?
one.
I got one. I would love to see a story on China.
Ooh, yeah, that would
That
be a
would
good
be a
one.
good one. They have not done the death of WCW.
They have not done the death of WCW. I would like to. I mean, I wouldn't like to see one, but I think a good topic for them would be all the drug related deaths from the 2000s.
Yeah, yeah, that would be a really good one. ECW
A
story,
test.
obviously. Well, you know what? You're gonna
Yeah.
get Herb Abrams, right? Which I find fascinating that they're doing the Herb Abrams story.
Okay. When are we
That's gonna
getting
be
that? Is
great.
that
That's this season. So I don't know which episode it's gonna be, but I know that there's a Herb
uh
Abrams, and that guy. It's a very fascinating period in wrestling because this guy
mhm.
really went headfirst and locked up a lot of names. And he died in a hotel covered in blow and like baby oil.
Ooh,
Yeah. So the
that
Herb Abrams
is
story is really good.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I think there was like another one, like another really obscure one that they were gonna do this season, but I don't
Well,
know.
what
It's tough.
what do you
Like
want to see? Yeah, give me what you want.
the drug related deaths would be fascinating just because it happened so quickly within a short period of time. Like Test, Bulldog, Mr. Perfect, right? Within like
Mm-hmm.
5 years.
Everybody,
Um, I,
all those guys.
I'd like to see like a referee story, because like I feel like the refs aren't really thrown into the spotlight as much as they should be.
Yeah, I'm. What do you guys? I'm curious about the chat room. What do they want to see that's not being told? Sunny,
Hogan's story.
a
Yeah.
story on Sunny.
Okay.
You could have that Sunny Days. Um,
Yeah.
there's a lot of these. You listen to it, and it's such a sad business. Like you watch the Chris Benoit thing, and then you
Mm,
you go back to like the early 2000s. Uh,
yeah.
like I remember, I mean, up until 2005, right? 2005, 2006, every day I would go on and think, okay, who's gonna die today? Who are they
Right.
announcing
Right.
that
Right.
died? It was just there's so much. There was so much. I mean, they say that it wasn't even the Paintballs; it was New Bane.
Oh yeah.
Blue Skies wants us to answer. Do you think Rusev or
Oh
Jinder
my
should
god.
feud with Drew? I think Jinder should feud with Drew. There you go. I hope that
Yeah.
helps.
I'm done with Rusev.
Yeah.
Curtain
The
call.
curtain.
That's a good one for Dark Side of the Ring.
But you know what though? There's nothing there, right?
Yeah.
There's really nothing there for the curtain call. Like, what's the story? The story became bigger. Vince said, "Oh, it's your
Right.
last night. Go in the garden and say thank you, everybody,"
Mm.
and that's what they did.
Here's a good
So,
question. What
yeah,
about Kevin Owens winning Money in the Bank and cashing in on Adam Cole?
Kevin Owens cashing in. That's actually really good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
A story on the Von Erichs, maybe. They did the Von Erich story. It was
Did you
very
know
good.
that? Did you know that Joe Exotic did commentary for an NWO offshoot, an
No,
NWA offshoot?
no, stop.
He did. I read this yesterday because when we watched the documentary, I was like, how is this guy not involved with wrestling? And he was. There was an
Oh,
NWA offshoot in I think the mid or late 90s where they hired Joe Exotic to do commentary, and they had like pyro and they had shows at his zoo and all this stuff.
oh my God, I'm watching
I'm
the
not making
episode
this
right
up.
now. I found it. Hold on.
With
NWA Texoma Wrestling at the zoo
yes,
and fireworks.
yes.
I'm gonna tell you, that son of a bitch hit him in the head.
I'm gonna make Carol Baskin eat dog shit.
Oh my God, they're using the zoo surveillance camera shots. I'm watching this.
This is it. This is the rest of the episode, guys.
I'm so sorry. I gotta find this later. Sorry.
It's nuts.
Um,
It's nuts, right?
yeah, it's really bonkers. Sunny would be a good one, like I said.
Hmm.
Like there's so many carny, bizarro stories in wrestling that they have an endless amount of material for those.
I want to hear. You know what I want to hear? I want to hear the what was it? Great Power Udi stuff. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, the Great Power Udi stuff. That's a good one.
Like, I would love to see if you people don't know about this. There's a guy in, I forgot what country it was in Africa, but he basically built himself as like the ultimate fighter and the ultimate champion, and he would have wrestlers show up and job to him. I think most famously Doc Gallows after he got released from WWE.
Yeah, but Gallows beat the shit out of him, right? He's like, hit me, hit me, hit me.
I don't remember what happened, but like it was like an empty arena with armed guards, and it was like broadcast nationwide.
Crazy. I want just think about that. I want you guys to think about how nuts that is.
Hmm. Well,
How bonkers
all
that
that
is.
stuff. It's a shame you can't get some of the guys to tell like their other interesting stories because like either they died or they're still under contract with like WWE under like a Legends deal or something like that.
Oh,
So you'll
dude,
never
here's a good
see
one.
like. Hmm.
Here's a good one. Kobe talks about wrestling. Says the Ring Boy scandal.
Ooh, okay.
That's a great one.
That's
Pat
a big one.
Patterson accusation.
That was always touched on for
Yeah,
like the last how many years, right? Especially
but
with like Piper.
no. Well, Piper's thing was fast. So the Patterson stuff, nobody will go near. Right? No, none of these
Oh
guys are going to
no,
even
no.
want to be part of that. But Piper's bizarre accusation at the end of his life in that shoot
Hmm.
interview, where he somewhat alluded that Patterson touched him. That was
He
bizarre, and
very bizarre.
from what I was told, because I asked somebody about that kind of would understand. He goes, Piper was working everybody,
Okay.
but who knows? I don't. That's that one person's opinion. I don't know, but that was a really bizarre. I don't think a lot of people know that. I think he did it with kayfabe commentaries. Piper did a
Yes.
thing with Sean Oliver, and Piper alluded in a very bizarre way that Pat Patterson touched him,
Right.
and and then nobody ever brought it up. That was it. Nobody
They're
spoke about it.
very
Nobody
weird.
said anything. Yeah, very weird.
Very, very, very weird. But again, you're not gonna get like eh, for a lot of this stuff that like you want to see like the behind the curtain exposed kind of thing. A lot of these guys still work for WWE. They're not gonna turn around and start doing shoot videos, especially like well produced stuff for Vice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Nicole
Uh,
Bass.
Nicole. I mean, but you knew her, right? Didn't you? You knew
Yeah,
where she lived.
I didn't know where
She's
she
like from
lived.
the neighborhood. I think she's
Maybe
from
an
Flushing.
ECW one. I want to see like an
Yeah,
ECW one.
yeah. All right. What else do we
Like
have?
the
Give me some questions. Some more questions before we wrap it up. What happened
whatever
to
happened
John
to
Bravo?
yeah.
Sorry, Rich. We got a delay here. Let me see.
That's all right.
Go ahead.
Whatever happened to John Bravo, the Roman Reigns accuser?
Um, I don't want to go into that part because I know a little bit about it.
Did he really?
Yeah, yeah.
Did did he got a brick through his window that was just this?
The story went away, but there was more to the story.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. That would be a good
yeah,
one to
yeah.
touch on. Um, I think that's it for questions.
Hawk's last days. I think Hawk was fine. I don't think did
Yeah,
Hawk die of a drug overdose or he died of a heart attack.
I think it was a heart attack.
I don't think he was. Uh, it is a sad business that you had uh,
Mhm.
so many people die and all of it that happened. Uh,
Well, you could say that about any entertainment industry, any piece
yeah,
of entertainment, right?
yeah. Any piece of entertainment. Look at the movie industry.
Mm.
Look
Right.
how sad that is. You have stories of so many like Heath Ledger, River Phoenix. These are names that. And by the way,
Mhm.
they hung out in the same crew. All of these guys.
Right. And then, football, like for anything that's sports related, man, like there's always something like tragic. It's just human nature, right?
Yeah, it's just human nature. I mean, what are you gonna do? Robin Williams passing away, sad. Solus, hearing Vicky saying Eddie had 3 drug overdoses threw me. I thought it was a different Vicky. Threw me the way off. Yeah,
He thought, he thought it was my
Eddie
wife.
Guerrero. I thought we were talking about your very Greek and ethnic wife. Um, yeah, that was the fact that people didn't know that about Eddie Guerrero having such a tremendous drug problem. I mean, to the point that in 2002, he wrestled, I think, IWA. I think IWA Mid South. What is it? IWA? What was the promotion?
I'm
IWA
not
Mid
sure. I know.
South. He wrestled in the IWA against CM Punk. It could have been IWA or maybe not, against CM Punk and Rey Mysterio, because they both weren't in WWE. And by the way, this guy came back after having a terrible run, with drugs and all that stuff. And he had an unbelievable career. He turned his life around.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. All right, guys. Do we wrap it up? When do we get new merch? That should be in the next couple of weeks. Next 2 weeks, we should have the new merch.
We should talk to you, Jonathan. Maybe we can work something out with a couple of designs.
Yeah. Let's see. Last questions, guys. Submit them now. Last question. If we missed it, we're gonna answer now. Oh, how about an episode on Enochiism?
That would be cool. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, because that guy almost killed the whole country as far as the business went. That would be a really good one. I'm just going through this. The Fabulous Moolah one was very good.
That was very good. I want to see a Terry Bollea talking to Hulk Hogan, talking to Hollywood Hulk Hogan one.
Oh, man, like the Faces of Hogan?
Yeah, the 3 faces of Hogan.
Yeah, I would love that.
Brother.
A rumor on Omega's bisexuality. Why would they want to talk about that?
Who cares?
Who cares? When is the Blue Chew Club coming back?
Never left.
The Blue Chew Club never left, but they're not advertising with us right now, so they should be soon. Yeah. Oh, yeah, Mr. America, 4 faces of Hogan.
There you go. Brother, I don't know what you're talking about, brother.
Yeah. All right, guys. Let's wrap it up. That's it for this week, guys. Thank you for tuning in. This will be available via podcast probably by this afternoon. Suncast is going to work hard at editing it. We have a lot of stuff ready for you next week. This is our last show of the week. Oh, and Thunderlips. Add Thunderlips also to the mix. There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah. You can follow Rich, BTC Rich. You can follow me at Andrew Zarian. By the way, I do another podcast. If you guys don't know, I do a tech-based podcast. That's going to be live at 1 p.m. East on What the Tech. Go to youtube.com/whatthetechpodcast. You could go there and you can watch us live. You can subscribe to us. My goal is to hit this channel with 5,000 subs by the end of the year. A very realistic goal for us. We're getting there. We're at like 4,000 subscribers. So hit the subscribe button and help us reach our goal. And we'll see you all next time, guys. Take care.
Later.